In this video, I wanted to share with you guys the most valuable car in the 458 Destroyer collection. Now remember, there are millions of dollars worth of cars in here, so for something to take that top spot, that number one spot, you know it has to be incredibly special. So let's go check it out. But while I grab the keys to the car, if you're new to the channel, what's up? My name is Charlie. I help make content for the social channels, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you check those out if you haven't. Before I show you the car, take a look around the garage real quick and drop a comment down below what you think the most valuable car in the collection is right now. Welcome everyone to the Ferrari LaFerrari. Now, for the automotive enthusiast, the Ferrari brand represents the pinnacle of automotive passion and sports car engineering, and this is their halo car, the Ferrari LaFerrari. This is a V12 hybrid hypercar that develops 950 horsepower, utilizes an energy recovery system just like Ferrari uses on their F1 cars, has a top speed of 218 miles an hour, and weighs like seriously as much as an economy hatchback. Even though this car is nearly like a decade old at this point, it's still one of the most advanced, most beautiful, and most incredible cars you might ever get the chance to see. Now, in fact, this is not actually the car that I want to show you today in this video, but I bring this car up to illustrate just how special the next car is, because even though they only made 499 of these cars, and they trade at north of 4 million US dollars, that's still not enough to take the top spot of most valuable car in this collection, because the financial value isn't everything. Which leads me to a really great point, because the car that I do want to show you in this video on paper isn't nearly as expensive as a lot of the other cars in this collection. Because that really is the recurring theme of this particular car collection, is that it's not about its monetary value, it's about the special story, the history, and the meaning behind every car. Every car in here has a special story. This one just has the best. Now, for those of you who haven't guessed yet, I'm gonna give you one more clue real quick. Here it is.
Dude, I almost had you.
Did you catch it? This is it. For those of you who didn't catch the hint, this of course is Paul Walker's personally owned R34 GTR. Now, to clear up any confusion right off the bat, this isn't a movie car, this wasn't the Too Fast, Too Furious Skyline Paul Walker's character drove, this isn't a replica, none of that. This is the Sonic Silver 1999 Skyline GTR V-Spec that Paul bought from Motorex after wrapping up the original Fast and Furious movie. You see, even though we recognize Paul as being such a huge proponent of these JDM icons like the Nissan Skyline and Toyota Supra, that wasn't always the case early on. During the production of the first Fast and Furious, Motorex, which was the company at the time importing these cars legally, brought a handful of cars to the set where Paul was really able to get some exposure into the JDM tuner car culture. And after filming the movie, he went back to Motorex to buy a car from them, but ended up borrowing a black GTR, which looks really similar to this, had really similar modifications, which we'll get to in a minute, and that car was known as the Blackbird. Paul decided not to buy that car and ended up waiting for this one instead. So this was Paul's first GTR, and as far as I'm aware, the only R34 that still isn't owned by the Walker family. Paul kept this car for a little while, but ultimately ended up selling it to some guy in Hawaii in order to buy a white 2001 V-Spec 2. Now, I mentioned the modifications to this car in reference to the Blackbird because the mods on this car weren't actually done by Paul. The car was basically stock when he sold it, and the new owner decided to recreate a silver version of that Blackbird car that Paul was known and seen driving around in. And speaking of the mods, it's really not a crazy build. We've got some Advan Sienna wheels, coilovers, a carbon GT wing, super lightweight carbon hood, HKS intercooler, Tomei turbos, and a handful of other minor engine mods. But my favorite part of the whole build is this awesome period correct C-West body kit, which I think really drives home the period correctness of this car, and I think is one of the things that makes it so cool. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, the Hawaii guy actually got in some legal trouble and ended up losing the car, which was auctioned off to someone in Texas, where shortly after that it was acquired by Top Rank in California and ultimately ended up being sold to 458 Destroyer, which is how it ended up right here. Now, all that history and information is really cool and interesting to know, but the real reason why this car is so incredibly special and holds the title of most valuable car in the 458 Destroyer collection is because this car represents an entire era. It embodies an era of car culture that was so incredibly influential on 458 Destroyer, myself, and an entire generation of car enthusiasts. So, while this car may be extremely rare, in fact, it's one of only about a dozen or so Motor X cars that are fully federally legal here in the United States and extremely monetarily valuable, this car represents the true distilled nature of the 458 Destroyer collection. And while other cars in the collection may get modified, traded, or sold, this is definitely one of the cars that absolutely will be a cornerstone and a staple in the 458 Destroyer collection and will always have a spot in the garage. That's why this is the most valuable car in the collection, period. And I know I said in a previous video that this is the only car in the collection I wouldn't drive because of all these reasons I've been explaining up to this point, but I feel like I couldn't do this video justice without taking you for a drive in such a special car. This is awesome. This is so cool. I can't believe I'm driving Paul Walker's R34 Skyline GTR. This is like the car that started it all for so many people, myself included. I was not a huge JDM fan before watching the Fast and Furious franchise, especially Too Fast, Too Furious. Now remember, like I said before, this is not modeled after, this isn't a replica, this isn't a movie car of the Too Fast, Too Furious car. This was Paul Walker's personally owned R34 GTR. Listen to that. All I can think about is that opening scene from Too Fast, Too Furious. And that's exactly what makes this car special. That's exactly what I was going on about earlier, is that it's one thing for cars to be extremely valuable or extremely rare, but this car defines that era of car culture. Obviously, the Fast and the Furious, Need for Speed, Gran Turismo, this was completely a foundational element in my automotive enthusiast journey. And the fact that this was Paul's is so cool and so special. This is special. This is really special. This is really cool. I've driven just about everything else in the garage at some point or another. Cars that are worth 10 times the monetary value of this, cars that are 10 times faster than this. But this is like one of the biggest impacts I've had on driving a car ever. It just takes you right back. And that's what a special car should do. It should take you out of your daily life, out of the place you're in, out of any kind of emotions that you're feeling, and drop you somewhere special. And that's exactly what this car does. More so than anything else. So I totally understand and completely agree with, this is by far the most valuable car in the car collection. Now, if you made it this far in the video, I really want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come check the car out. I hope it was well worth it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it. If you don't mind, I would love it if you would share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leave a comment down below on what your favorite car of all time, the most special car to you is. Leave that in a comment down below. Let us know. Let's chat about it. And until the next video, I'll catch you guys later, and I'm going to continue driving.